Data centers are not just buildings. They are major users of electricity. A large data center campus can use as much power as a major industrial facility. That makes these projects more than local zoning decisions. They are state energy decisions. Before Oklahoma approves large data centers, one question comes first. Who pays for the power system built to serve them? A city or county may approve a data center as a local land use issue, but the electric demand does not stop at the fence line. That load can require new power plants, transmission lines, substations, transformers, and changes to the electric system. Those costs can reach far beyond the community that approved the project. Oklahoma needs to look at the total impact before the grid is already committed. Oklahoma's new data center ratepayer law starts at 75 megawatts. That tells us something important. 75 megawatts is already large enough for lawmakers to worry about who pays. A 500 megawatt campus is not just a local project. It is a grid planning event. A project above 1,000 megawatts is a state energy issue. The bigger the load, the more important the contract becomes. The first rule should be simple. If the data center creates the cost, the data center should pay. Not ordinary families, not small businesses, not farmers, schools, churches, or existing employers. If a private data center needs new electric infrastructure, that cost should follow the project that created the need. That is the principle behind Oklahoma's HB 2992. It was a good start, but the details matter. HB 2992 says large data centers and similar high-load facilities should have separate electric rates and rules. That matters because lawmakers recognize the risk. Private electric demand should not shift costs onto ordinary customers. But a tariff by itself is not enough. The public needs to know what costs are covered. Does it cover only the connection to the power system? Or does it cover transmission, substations, new generation, and costs left behind if the project delays, downsizes, or leaves? Natural gas will remain part of Oklahoma's power mix. Gas plants can help reliability when the grid needs power quickly. But gas-fired power has one cost risk that wind and solar do not have. A gas plant has to keep buying fuel every year. And natural gas prices move. They have been high. They have been low. They spiked again in 2022. Oklahoma should not pretend gas-fired power has a fixed long-term cost. Wind and solar have a different cost profile. Most of the cost is upfront. They still require land, transmission, financing, maintenance, backup power, storage, and planning. Those are real issues. But once wind and solar are built, they do not require buying fuel every year. That matters for consumers. Fuel-free power can help reduce exposure to natural gas price spikes. The question should be reliable power at the lowest long-term cost. Texas gives Oklahoma a useful lesson. Texas is not anti-natural gas. It is the most important oil and gas state in America. But when Texas needed large amounts of new power, most new capacity came from solar, wind, and batteries. That was not political. That was free market economics. Developers built what could be financed, permitted, connected, and completed quickly. Natural gas remained important for reliability. But it was not the only answer. Oklahoma should learn from that. Generation is only part of the problem. A new power plant does not help if the electricity cannot reach the data center. That is why transmission may become the bottleneck. Before approval, Oklahoma needs to know what transmission lines, substations, and transformers are required. It also needs to know who pays. If new transmission is built mainly to serve a private data center, ordinary customers should not be stuck with the bill. The risk is not just higher fuel costs. It is costs left behind. What happens if a data center asks for huge amounts of power, but later phases are never built? What happens if the project is delayed? What happens if the customer leaves? What happens if AI demand changes? If the infrastructure has already been built, somebody still has to pay. That somebody should not be the public. Before approving a large data center, Oklahoma officials should ask clear public questions. How much power will it need? What power will serve it? What new electric system costs are required? What happens if the project uses less power than promised? Are there exit fees? If those answers are not clear, the project is not ready. Oklahoma can welcome data centers and still protect ratepayers. It can use natural gas and still reduce risk from changing fuel prices. It can build wind, solar, batteries, and transmission without pretending reliability no longer matters. It can attract investment and still make private projects pay their own way. That is not anti-growth. That is basic accountability. Data centers need power, but Oklahoma families should not pay the bill for private electric load. Read the full 5-part series at wlangdon.substack.com.